Now I like a nice drop of whiskey as much as the next chap, maybe even a bit more if I'm honest. And let me tell you, the world of whiskey, well, it's gone absolutely bonkers lately. It used to be, you had your Scotch, your bourbon, a few Irish whiskies if you were feeling adventurous, but now, oh dear me, there's a whole distillery's worth of new brands, finishes, and frankly, ludicrous names popping up faster than you can say single malt. Join me as I dive into the world of whiskey and try to taste and rate the hottest new releases of the year. Whiskey has always been a passion of mine, and every year I get excited to see what new trends and releases are going to shake up the industry. Whether you're a seasoned whiskey enthusiast or just a casual drinker, keeping up with the latest trends can be overwhelming, but it's also what makes it so exciting. So pour yourself a dram, settle in, and let's navigate this wonderful, slightly mad world of whiskey together. Remember when craft beer was all the rage? Well, strap yourselves in because whiskey's having its own small batch moment. It's like everyone and their dog who owns a copper still and a garden shed are suddenly whiskey barons. And this is crucial, some of these craft distilleries, they're onto something rather special. You see, unlike the big boys, these smaller outfits, they've got the freedom to experiment. They're not beholden to some century-old recipe for old Krusty's single barrel. No, they're chucking in locally sourced grains, experimenting with wood finishes you'd find in a furniture shop, and generally throwing caution to the wind. And the results? Well, some of it is, to put it politely, an acquired taste, but the good stuff, oh my word, it's like nothing you've ever tasted. Take this big Scottish operation called Ardbeg. Most think of them as traditional, but Ardbeg sent whiskey molecules to the International Space Station in 2011 to study how microgravity affects maturation. Sounds utterly balmy, doesn't it? It's this kind of innovation, this willingness to push the boundaries that makes the craft distillery scene so exciting right now. Of course, with so many new players on the field, it can be a bit of a minefield trying to find the gems amongst, shall we say, the less successful experiments. But that's part of the fun, isn't it? The thrill of the hunt for that perfect dram. And who knows, you might just discover the next big thing in whiskey. Now, I've got a few bottles here from some up-and-coming distilleries. We've got a rye whiskey finished in maple syrup barrels, a single malt aged in sherry casks that used to hold Pedro Jimenez, and something called a peat monster that I'm almost afraid to open. Let's see what these little guys have got, shall we? Now, you might think that with all these craft distilleries popping up, the big boys, the established names in whiskey, might be getting a bit nervous. But you'd be wrong. In fact, they're busier than a one-armed bartender on a Saturday night churning out new brands and labels. It's enough to make your head spin. You walk into a liquor store nowadays and it's like staring into the abyss of a whiskey-filled universe. Every shelf is groaning under the weight of limited editions, special releases, and bottles with more marketing jargon than a politician's speech. Triple cask finished, they say. Aged for 18 summers under the watchful eye of a master distiller. Honestly, you'd think they were selling unicorn tears bottled on Mount Olympus. Don't get me wrong, some of it is genuinely good stuff, but there's also a lot of, shall we say, marketing fluff. The trick, my friends, is to not be swayed by the hype. Don't be seduced by the fancy packaging or the promises of unparalleled smoothness. Look beyond the marketing smoke and mirrors and try to find out what the whiskey is actually about. A good place to start is the distillery itself. Do they have a good reputation? What are their other whiskies like? And crucially, what are the people who actually drink it saying? The internet, for all its faults, can be a treasure trove of honest reviews from fellow whiskey enthusiasts. And don't be afraid to be adventurous. Just because a brand is new doesn't mean it's not worth trying. Some of the most exciting whiskies I've tasted recently have been from brands I'd never even heard of before. So keep an open mind, do your research, and most importantly, don't be afraid to experiment. You never know what hidden gems you might uncover. Now, we've talked about the craft distilleries shaking things up and the big boys trying to keep pace. But what about the future of whiskey? Where is it all heading? Well, my crystal ball is a bit cloudy, probably from all the whiskey tasting, but I've got my eye on a few emerging distilleries that I think are really onto something special. These are the pioneers, the ones pushing the boundaries of what whiskey can be. They're experimenting with new grains, new techniques, and new finishes, all in pursuit of that perfect dram. Take, for instance, this distillery in New York. They use a proprietary black noise sonic enhancement process, blasting Metallica songs through subwoofers at the barrels. Vibrations agitate the liquid, increasing wood interaction. It's like bringing sex, drugs, and rock and roll in a bottle. Then there's this other distillery well-known whiskey brand, Jefferson's, and they're doing something rather extraordinary with their aging process. They've developed a system that uses actual waves to accelerate the maturation of the whiskey. Now I know what you're thinking. Waves? Is that some new age nonsense? But apparently it actually works. The whiskey matures much faster and the flavor profile is said to be incredibly complex. It's this kind of innovation, this willingness to challenge the status quo that makes me so excited about the future of whiskey. These emerging distilleries, they're not afraid to take risks, to experiment and to push the boundaries. And that, my friends, is what it's all about. Of course, not every experiment is going to be a success. There will be missteps, there will be failures, and there will be some truly bizarre creations that leave you wondering what they were thinking. But that's all part of the journey, isn't it? And for every head-scratching concoction, there's a chance of discovering something truly exceptional, something that redefines what whiskey can be. So keep your eyes peeled and your palates ready, because the future of whiskey is looking very exciting indeed. Right then, let's talk about something truly exciting, something that sets the hearts of whiskey enthusiasts racing faster than a runaway barrel down a hill: alternative grains and finishes. It used to be your grain options were about as varied as a penguin's wardrobe: barley, corn, rye, the end. But not anymore. Nowadays, distilleries are throwing everything but the kitchen sink into their mashes. We're talking ancient grains like spelt and einkorn, more commonly found in artisanal bread than a bottle of booze. And then there's the rise of quinoa whiskey, which frankly sounds like something you'd find in a health food shop, but I'm willing to keep an open mind. But it's not just the grains that are getting a shake-up. The finishes are where things get really interesting. Forget your standard ex-bourbon or sherry casks. We're talking about barrels that once held everything from rum and port to mezcal and even, wait for it, maple syrup. Yes, you heard me right, maple syrup. Now, I know what you're thinking. James, old boy, are they just chucking whiskey into any old barrel they can find lying around? And the answer, my friends, is a resounding maybe. But before you dismiss it as utter madness, consider this. These unusual finishes can impart incredibly complex and unexpected flavors to the whiskey. Take, for example, this bottle I've got here, finished in Sauternes casks. Sauternes, for those not familiar, is a sweet dessert wine from France. You might think it would make the whiskey unbearably sweet, but it's actually quite delicate, adding notes of honey, apricot, and a hint of spice. Then there's this other one, finished in barrels that previously held peated Islay Scotch. The result is a fascinating juxtaposition of smoky, peaty notes with the sweetness of the original whiskey. It's like a bonfire on a beach, intriguing, unexpected, and utterly delightful. The world of alternative grains and finishes is a vast and exciting playground for whiskey lovers. It's a chance to explore new flavors, discover hidden gems, and perhaps even challenge your preconceived notions of what whiskey should taste like. So be adventurous, be curious, and most importantly, keep an open mind and a bottle opener handy. Now, amidst this whirlwind of craft distilleries, new brands, and experimental finishes, there's one distillery that's really caught my attention this year. They've only been around for a short while, but they're already making waves in the industry, and for a good reason. This, my friends, is a distillery that embodies everything exciting about the world of whiskey right now: innovation, tradition, and a dash of audaciousness. They're called Cleveland Whiskey, and they're based in Ohio, a place not exactly known for its whiskey production, but perhaps that's their secret weapon. You see, they're not bound by the conventions and expectations of more established whiskey-making regions. They're free to experiment, to innovate, and to create something truly unique, and that's precisely what they're doing. They use pressurized tanks, oxygen, and ultrasonic waves to mimic years of barrel aging in just days. It's aging on fast forward, and they're aging their whiskey in a variety of unusual casks, including those that once held local wines and beers. But it's not just about novelty for novelty's sake. This distillery has a deep respect for the tradition and craftsmanship of whiskey making. They use a combination of modern techniques and time-honored methods to create their spirits, and their attention to detail is evident in every aspect of their operation, from the sourcing of their ingredients to the design of their bottles. I managed to get my hands on a bottle of their flagship whiskey, and I have to say, it's rather impressive. It's a beautifully balanced spirit. It's complex yet approachable, smooth yet full of character. It's the kind of whiskey that makes you want to sit back, savor every sip, and ponder the ingenuity of the people who created it. Now, I know it's early days, and only time will tell if this distillery will live up to its potential, but based on what I've seen and tasted so far, I'm willing to bet that they're onto something truly special. This, my friends, is a distillery to watch, and I have a feeling we'll be hearing a lot more from them in the years to come. As we wrap up our look at the hottest whiskey trends of the year, it's clear that there's never been a more exciting time to be a whiskey enthusiast. It's a bit like trying to herd cats, frankly, keeping up with it all. But that's part of the charm, isn't it? The constant sense of discovery, the thrill of the unknown. From emerging distilleries to innovative flavor profiles, there's something for everyone to get excited about. It's a reminder that even in a world obsessed with the latest and greatest, there's still room for tradition, craftsmanship, and, dare I say, a little bit of whimsy. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting to explore the world of whiskey, I hope this video has given you some inspiration to try something new and explore the amazing world of whiskey. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to share your favorite whiskey trends in the comments below. And remember, as with all good things, enjoy responsibly. If you want to learn more about spirits and drinks, be sure to check out our next video for more insights and adventures. Cheers!